All right, let's go ahead and call this meeting of the Isanti City Council to order. If we can all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Doing roll call, we have all council members present. Is there any public comment this evening? Hearing none, we'll move on to adopting the agenda. Was there any changes to tonight's agenda?
No, there are not, Mayor.
Okay.
Motion to adopt.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Moving on to approving the city council meeting minutes for March 6, 2024.
Motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. For announcements, we have the Park and Recreation Board meeting Tuesday, March 26th at 6 p.m. The city offices will be closed Friday, March 29th in observance of Good Friday. We have the city council meeting on Tuesday, the 2nd of April at 7 p.m. And the EDA meeting is immediately following that council meeting, also on the 2nd of April. Do we have any council committee reports?
I don't have one. School board and Chamber of Commerce meet tomorrow and the next day, so I'll have one at the next meeting.
Anybody else?
Fire district meetings tomorrow night. Doesn't much on there.
All right, so we'll move on to business item K1, resolution to consider approving the site plan for Isanti Middle School. Planning and stuff, yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Tonight we'll first be reviewing the Isanti Middle School. An application for a site plan review was applied for by Cambridge Isanti Schools for the Isanti Middle School to improve traffic flow from Heritage County Road 5 through the school property for drop-off and pickup, as well as increase a few parking spaces. The site plan application has been submitted to show the location of the parking lot and drive lane extensions, and the county reviewed the driveway access in relation to County Road 5 and saw no issues. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on February 19th and recommended approval of the site plan. The Planning Commission also recommended the driveway access be located at no less than 50 feet from the intersection of County Road 5, which it is in compliance with. The Fire Chief, Al Jankovic, approved of the site plan as presented in his memo dated January 26, 2024, and after reviewing the final application, the city engineer, Jason Cook, has no additional comments or conditions regarding the project at this time. I know we do have a representative here to answer any questions if you have any.
So I had a question that might not be in this specific realm, but when you're traveling westbound on Heritage, why is the lane is X'd out with yellow to have a turn, or where you could potentially have a turn lane, but there isn't? Why is it that we have a bypass lane instead of a turn lane there? Travis, is there some sort of reason to, wouldn't you think it'd work better to have a dedicated turn lane there than just have the road space wasted? When you're traveling westbound on Heritage?
You mean on the county road there?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Is that would I have to ask the county about?
yeah, that'd be a county engineer.
Okay, because it just seems like it's wasted space, and it's like, well, that's a pretty good staging lane right there instead of having traffic issues. Okay.
Wouldn't be a staging lane, it'd be a turning lane.
Well, a
You're
turning,
gonna
yeah,
wanna
but
stage out there.
staging when there's a backup,
Yeah.
you know.
So,
You're
other
saying to turn left into that
Yes,
driveway?
there's all the, like, probably at least 16 feet is just, 16 feet wide is just yellowed off, like you can't drive there, it's just a wasted space. It's like, well, what is that there for? You
most
could
people
actually,
use it as a turn lane.
Yeah.
anyway,
It's being
so.
used as a turn lane.
okay,
I
okay,
mean, people use that as a turn lane, at least what I've seen, whether they're supposed to.
okay.
So I agree that.
But we're not enforcing if they're using that as a turn lane, okay.
It would make sense for the engineer to look at that and. review
Right,
it.
it'd save them money on painting too.
Correct.
Okay,
The same, if we're looking at that, they're the same
Yeah. Okay.
The same intersection at Coburn's also on that road, has
Okay.
the same lines for
Oh,
turning.
that's-
I know
that's
we
just
discussed
strange.
before also.
I
Okay.
make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Thank you for making sure that was over 50 feet too.
Moving on to K2, the resolution to consider approving the planned unit development for Johnson's Meadows.
Good evening again. This is for the planned unit development and the final plat for the first phase of Johnson's Meadows.
Which we've already gone over. I think
Yes.
we've had,
Multiple times.
yep.
So the changes, I just want to make sure that's on record at the city council meeting. It's 16 acres, 43 single-family lots, following the density restrictions for that zoning district, as well as average lot size requirements. The proposed setbacks are reduced through the PUD with a front setback of 25 feet, side of 8 feet, and rear of 25 feet, and a street side yard of 18 feet. Here is the final plat for the phase one. We are requiring the temporary cul-de-sacs, as we've discussed in the past throughout this phase as well. The developer is here if you have any additional questions.
I think we pretty much hatched out all those issues when we discussed this, so I'm gonna make a motion to approve.
And I'm just gonna say I'm still gonna nay this because the fire chief didn't approve of it, so.
Any other discussion at all? Otherwise, I'll look for a second from, for Steve's motion.
I'll second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Aye.
That motion carries 3-2. Moving on to K3, the resolution to consider terminating the bank site second edition final plat on outlots B, C, and D.
Good evening again. This is pertaining to the Johnson's Meadows PUD. Currently, there was a plat that was, the bank site development that was approved on these many years ago. And that plat was never constructed on these sites, so currently there's easements surrounding all of the lots. So this really is just a formality, taking off those easements, so when the new plat is recorded, those random drainage and utility easements won't be throughout the lots.
Okay.
Your motion to approve.
Second.
I have a motion from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I do have one question. So L3, it's basically to put the grader up for auction. Do you know if there's going to be a reserve on that grader? I guess, me personally, I think auctions are a huge risk, and I would rather try and sell it on the private market or get a reserve on the auction.
So I did ask just that question to our Public Services Director. He did talk to the person who runs that auction house, and he recommended to not put a reserve because then they can start the bidding higher, and he does believe that it will go very well.
Okay, well, it's a risk the city has to take, so I would rather not auction it. I mean, we bought ours on the private market, there's other people that'll buy on the private market, then you dictate the price. If you wanna get 100,000 for it, you're gonna get 100,000 for it, you're not gonna sell it. Or you could go to auction, you could get $5,000 for it. If a lot of people that are in that sort of business for excavators and equipment like that go to auction because they can get stuff dirt cheap. So I'm pretty opposed to that in this case.
And we did try to market it, so we did drive it down there, so it was down there during their hay and another auction that they had, so there was getting exposure, which they typically have done at Boostrom's auction there. So then people can see it for the next upcoming auction. So it was down there getting as much exposure as we could get.
Okay. I guess I'd rather see a reserve on it.
I'd like to see a reserve on it too.
It does sort of limit bidding, but the people that are actually serious about buying, a $150,000 piece of equipment are gonna be there it's not gonna be someone that's gonna get it for 10 grand. Cause if it were me, and I like to watch those auctions, cause some of those auction companies aren't necessarily marketing or the stuff just goes cheap and you don't know when that's gonna happen. So you can buy and make money hand over fist if you're,
So we do know what the value that, from the place that we bought it from, was willing, we could have traded it in to get a certain dollar amount. I'm not sure if it's wise to share that now, or then people
Right,
know
right,
what
right.
to bid on it, but that dollar amount was the dollar amount that we talked to Boostrom's about and said that would probably be our reserve, because we know we can get that from them. And he said he thought we would get it for quite a bit more than that.
but is
The-
he
the
gonna,
dollar
is he
amount
gonna
is
back
very
up
low.
that though?
What's that?
Is he gonna back up? I mean, it's easy for an auctioneer to say, oh, you'll get over that.
I mean, we
you-
could put the reserve at that, but it's gonna be pretty low. It's not, I mean, it doesn't articulate, there's a lot of issues with it.
I know, yep.
So, I mean, if council's desires for us to go get an appraisal for what it is, we could put the reserve as the trade-in that the other company was going to give to us, of where we got our other one. It's up to you.
Bad weather can,
If you wanna know what
A
that dollar
really
amount
bad
is, let me know.
turnout.
Yeah, bad weather can do a lot of things to a turnout at an auction. If it's, I mean, I guess, I don't know when the auction would be, but if it's snowing or raining or extremely windy,
It's coming up here soon.
yeah, that's,
in June?
I think it's May 11th.
is it a Komatsu?
Yep, 96.
I remember
Yeah.
getting 9 inches of snow on May 9th, and that was, what, 3 years ago?
Yeah.
You going to the auction?
See? I mean, I talk to the guys at DW about this all the time.
Not the right brand?
Yeah, there's, I mean, if you talk to excavation companies, that's what they do. They try and cherry pick auctions, because you can save, on big equipment like that, you can save yourself 100, 200, 300,000. I mean, this
You
is.
do the same thing in the restaurant, and, I mean,
Right, any
yeah, I mean,
auction, it's the
any
same thing
auction
with,
is the
you know,
same goal,
fabrication
get it for cheap,
equipment
right?
and,
But the
I
thing
do
is it sells right away, whereas if you wanna go
Yeah.
outside of that and sell it, you might wait a year or two before it finally sells, so.
you might, yeah.
And we're storing it, and we're going through all of it. And if you go, like, the fire district sells a lot of their fire trucks that they're getting rid of.
I bought one.
And we end up paying seller's premium and buyer's premium both on top of those. And the philosophy is, you know, we get a seller's premium, pay that percentage, and then the buyer's paying another percentage. By the time you get done, but if they would have tried to sell it outright, it could have been sitting there for 2 years.
That could have been, yeah.
So I don't care what you do, there's a risk in either way you take it. If you feel that you want to put a reserve on it, absolutely. I think we should use the reserve that we were offered for a trade-in value. Plain and simple, end of discussion. I don't think at this moment, we need to discuss that. The only thing is, when they go to auction it, they will say there is a reserve.
And people that are serious about buying something, they're gonna hear, you know, it's got a reserve, well, I'm just gonna bid to what I'm gonna bid to, and,
But then again, you also gotta keep in mind, if it doesn't sell at that auction, now what are we gonna do? Now it's gonna sit outside. And it could sit there for 2 years, and then it ain't worth nothing. So, just keep that in mind. I'd rather, if somebody's gonna buy it at an auction, it's gone, it's adios.
yeah, but
We're not dealing
what if somebody bids $1,000 for it?
I doubt highly that.
Well,
that'll
yeah, but
happen.
you never know at an auction, you
I
never know,
doubt, you
though.
never know at a
know.
public, you never know about putting it on.
Yeah, right, that's what I'm saying.
I'll go
That's-
buy it
and
for
that's what,
$1,000
that's what
yeah.
companies do, they go to these to try and find the steals, because they can,
But it's not all are that way.
No, no,
But
absolutely
But
not.
I'm gonna tell you what, I don't care what you have. You could have something that you think is worth $10,000. It's only worth what somebody will give you for it.
oh, right, right.
So keep that in mind. So if you wanna set a reserve on it, I'm fine with that. But I don't think we need to discuss that at this point. I think we can have that discussion in private.
Well, you wanna just say, so Josie knows what that number is, we don't need
Yeah.
to say it here today, but yeah, if you wanna, you think that's, I mean, we know we can get that for it guaranteed, so if it doesn't sell, we can still get that, so I'm fine if you wanna put a reserve on it, whatever that company was willing to give us on the trade-in on it, which I'm sure is not real high, but it's at least somewhat of an insurance policy against what you're worried about, right?
Yep,
So,
That's it.
that was
I'm fine
all
with
I
that.
wanted.
yeah, you need a motion for that, or a direction on it's fine, or? Okay, okay, all right.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
I have a motion to approve the consent agenda from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Heeman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0.
Travis, I have a question for you. Do you know, have we been handing out, are doing the winter ordinance stuff, the tickets for that. Have we been doing a lot of those? The winter parking?
Oh, winter park.
Winter parking, I don't know, but maybe I said something wrong, I was kind of jumbled, but the winter parking ordinance, have we been ticketing a lot of people for those, or how are we approaching that situation, or? Well, there's no snow
Not yet, not till.
next
what,
week.
Next week,
Yeah.
yeah. I know that you, notices and then habitual ones, I know we've gotten, I want to say there's 2 or 3 in recent last couple weeks.
Okay.
That was, yeah.
And I noticed, I was looking at the police report, there was only one from this month of February, so I just wondered if you guys had started doing more, or if, I mean, how are you gonna approach that when, when snow's coming and people are parked overnight? Are you gonna put the little warnings out, just to remind people that it still is winter parking? I've just had a lot of questions about it, like, can we park on the street? And it's like, well, you could, but there's a risk. But at the same time, people are doing it, so,
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I know there was, I want to say 3 this month,
okay,
would be my guess from what
Okay.
I've seen.
I gotta tell you, I got an offender on my street. He's very good at fending that. I gotta say that he hasn't for some time now. I think you know which one I'm referring to. He parks his flippin' car trailer that's black, and I've always been an advocate about streetlights. There's 3 of them on my street, and one's in front of my house. He's in between them. I've almost hit that stupid trailer many times when it's dark when I leave in the morning, because I can't see it. But it's still, he shouldn't even have it. The street isn't wide enough for that parking. It isn't. It should be parking on one side only.
so he's not parking, he's been good about not parking on the street?
This winter, but
Okay, good.
he's been offended before.
That's weird, the winter where it's not
I mean,
snowing.
it's kind of the people, I mean, our guys are seeing the same habitual people trying to educate, inform, and then use other means to try to get the same compliant factor.
Okay.
That's coming off pretty soon, ain't it, winter parking?
April 1st.
Yeah.
So would it be worth your guys' time to do warnings before the snows, if there's a big snowstorm that's supposedly gonna come? Would it be worth your time, because it saves Public Works time, to go out and just tag them with the warning stickers like what they usually do at the beginning of the season?
Maybe.
Maybe not. Okay.
Because usually when there's somebody, those, I'm just trying to think of like the ones I can think of that this was out at night. I mean, they would be the ones that weren't normally there, were there during a snowstorm. So it depends on if it's hopefully they've gotten enough people that throughout this winter to understand there's an ordinance.
That's the
Those
problem.
people
That's the
won't
problem.
be doing it, it'll be the newer people, so, people that we haven't had issues with them parking there. And then they'll be driving around with Public Works, and then Public Works has to go back and clean it up once they move their car.
I think we're jumping ahead of ourselves. Who knows?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I
Public's
just,
gonna miss us
there's,
anyway.
there's a lot of people asking the question though. I've had at least probably 6 or 7 people ask me, so maybe it would be nice to inform people that, hey, this ordinance is still in place, from, November 1st to April 1st?
Yeah, for the reason that's coming up now. I mean,
Right,
there's
exactly, so
snows,
that-
That's why.
right,
That's
so
because
maybe
it's
that-
been nice out, but again, we can have snows in March. I know that's odd to say, but we can actually have snow in March, right?
So if a snowstorm is imminent, I think that it would be nice to put those reminders out to just remind people that, hey, this is still winter parking, because Public Works hates that when they have to plow around all those cars. And right now, people think, oh, winter's done, so the ordinance isn't there, but it still could be. So I think if we actually see snow coming, I would like for you guys to go do that. I don't know if that's possible, but,
No, and yeah, they are, and like I said, that's kind of the whole concept with the citations that are come out. Those are the ones that have been either seen multiple times parked, and then finally got a citation because it's probably been the 4th night in a row, same car parked in the same spot, and they haven't had an issue. So your habitual people, I think, have been addressed so far this year. So when there's cars parked out here next week, they're probably not going to be anybody that's been tagged or warned before.
okay.
Statistically, that's what we've seen.
Well, I know on my street, there's somebody that's been parking on the streets for probably like 3 weeks, and he hasn't gotten anything. So I just didn't know if you guys weren't, doing anything with that, or if it's not a big deal on my street, but,
I mean, our guys know that snow's coming. And
Okay.
even though they're wearing short sleeve shirts, they still know that there's, winter parking issues to try to preempt, because it is a problem.
Yep.
It causes a lot of extra time for Public Works, because they have to go back and clean that up.
Or even just going around them, it takes way longer, yeah, it's
Well, they go around it, and then usually they'll come back and clean up
Yeah.
what they missed.
just,
Do
when,
you guys give the warnings, or does Public Works give those?
No, we do.
Do you
PD.
guys have them? Okay.
Yeah, I've gotten them a
So
couple
we
times,
have
because
two,
every year it's like, I
two different
forget.
things. We have, written warning, citation, and then we have like a high-vis pink, I think, this, like, notice that there's a winter parking,
Yeah, it's pink or orange, yeah.
something like that.
Across the windshield.
Yep.
Fill it all.
Just, when I did the ride-along with Public Works, I mean, you would be surprised at how much it slows you down. Even if there's 6 cars on a street, you can't just go down it. You have to lift the plow, and it actually takes substantially more time than you would think.
Yeah, I'm sure it's a pain.
Yeah. And then that's despite having to go back afterwards and clean it too, so.
All right, any other thoughts?
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
I have a motion to adjourn from Councilman Lundin and a second from Councilman Merrill. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. That motion carries 5-0. We are adjourned.
Oh, 'cause you have a, yeah. Oh, yeah.